Alright everyone, it's title winning weekend. It could be a major one to be a Celtic supporter. 3 points needed against Hearts to seal the deal and win a second league title in a row. We have Joe Ledley on with us, we have Asim on as well. Guys, it could be a major weekend. We'll come on and chat about it, but I think we should start with last weekend and the victory over Rangers at Hampden. A glorious day, Joe. You were obviously there. Talk us through your entire day and what it was like, and leave out the bit where you were pestered by a frustratingly annoying guy.
Yeah, is that yourself? 2 rows in front of me, you talking about someone?
What are the chances of that, honestly?
I couldn't believe it. I know. What's the chances of the stadium and being 2 rows in front of me? But went up the night before with my little boy. Really close friends with Stephen Fletcher at Dundee United, so got an opportunity to go and see him. Went and watched his boy on the Sunday morning play football, and then obviously once he had his kit on and his Celtic hoodie, he was ready to go. He couldn't wait, and obviously the build up to it, seeing the fans outside, and once you're in that seat and you can feel the atmosphere and the chants going. He was shocked at first. I think he was a little bit quiet, didn't know what to expect. But once the atmosphere was building and the songs are coming out, he was over the moon. And to be fair, he didn't want to leave Glasgow. He was crying at the end. Wanted to stay another night, but I was determined to take him back home.
And you made your flight home fine in the end. No, and there was no penalties either, which I was pretty glad about.
Yeah, he was gutted. Like I said previous, he loves watching penalties. But yeah, we had a delay, 2-hour delay. So that was the only frustrating part. For me as well as a fan perspective, it's the first time I've ever done that. When you sort of play, you sort of black it out and blur it out. Yeah. You can't really hear it as much, but when you're there as a fan, I don't know how you guys do it. I was so nervous at times, but it was just amazing to be in with the fans and like you said, singing the songs and hearing that atmosphere, and you sort of appreciate it a lot more once you're in there, and just seeing everyone celebrate together and that sort of unites of everyone coming together is just amazing to see and to be a part of as well.
Does it make you feel like even prouder of yourself that you played in a game like that when you actually go and you see the atmosphere and all of that?
Yeah, it is. Not just that, but to be associated with Celtic as well was, you don't realise how big the club is and the expectations of fans as well. And it's just, like I said, it was just a privilege to be there. And the fans are always brilliant. They're fantastic with myself and understood as with my boy and didn't pester me too much. But I think that's just the connection I have with the fans, and it was great. I love Glasgow as a city. I love it all, and it's just nice to be back.
Yes, you're more than welcome, and a good luck charm as well, which is always a bonus. Yeah. Asim, it just never gets old beating that mob, does it? It was glorious.
Yeah, I'm getting so used to it as well. It's great to hear that kind of from Joe's perspective. Obviously, I think you hear a lot of ex-players say that it's a lot more nervous watching it as a fan, because obviously you're not in control of what's going on. And again, it was a pretty nervy one. We've had a couple of those now in the last 2 or 3 meetings with them. But the feeling at the end when that final whistle goes and you're able to celebrate and look forward again to another glorious day at the end in start of June even. Sorry. So yeah, it's brilliant. We've obviously got one over them now. That's 3 in a row that we've beat them, and it's just brilliant. As Joe was saying, the atmosphere and just the feel good factor around the club. It's brilliant just to be a Celtic fan at the moment.
Yeah, another fantastic day. As you say, we're through to the Scottish Cup final. We will go through a few news stories again, guys. The one I want to start with is the fact that this final is going to take place Saturday the 3rd of June at 5:30pm. Fair to say that's caused a fair bit of chat in various circles. Celtic themselves put out a statement saying that they're hugely disappointed with the decision to move the game from 3 to 5:30. They don't feel it was necessary, and they also slammed the SFA for having no meaningful conversation with us. What what are the thoughts on this, Asim? Is this something that has bothered you? Is it something that just kind of irrelevant to you?
I think the actual kick-off time for me is, I think I mentioned it in one of my tweets as well, that I don't mind a later kick-off in terms of just generally, I think, you get a better atmosphere sometimes.
More time
But
for
the
drinking.
overall, yeah, well, I think the overall principle of it is what's annoyed a lot of people, and I get that part of it because it does seem again like we're just playing second fiddle and just allowing the TV to dictate the 3 p.m. tradition is always been there, and the fact that like we've basically said in the statement, there's not been any communication about it. It just seems like everything that we do in terms of the decision making in this country, it just seems to be always not with the fans' interest at heart, and I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. In isolation, for me, it's not the worst. I'd rather that than a 12:30 kickoff. I think I feel like it'll be a better atmosphere for it. But the general principle of not taking the clubs into consideration, not taking the fans into consideration, I can see why it's angered a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, as Asim says, Joe, the big frustration seems to be that we've moved our final so that it avoids the FA Cup final. I personally don't feel that we should ever be doing that regardless of if it's the first Manchester Derby FA Cup final ever. We should never be moving what is effectively our kind of main one-off showpiece match, and I think that is why people are kind of most frustrated. I mean, what do you think? Is it a big deal, or is it just folk moaning for the sake of moaning?
This we all know the reason why they've done it. So it's money talks at the end of the day. If you can look into having two finals, one after each other, it's more money revenue in TV, not just that for bars as well and pubs. So that's the only reason why they've done it. To have no communication from the SFA and clubs is a bit disappointing, really. But as Asim said, I don't mind 5:30 kickoffs. I don't mind the late one. I'd rather it be 5:30 than 12:30. That's for sure. And I'm sure, as a player's perspective as well, would rather it be a bit later. I don't get me wrong, we'd all prefer 3 o'clock, but having to wake up and eat pasta at that sort of time, and for the final would be a blow. But no, it's only one reason why they've done that, and that's because of the 3 o'clock kickoff here, down south.
Yeah, I think Matt O'Reilly said it will give them extra time in bed, which is an interesting way to look at it. I don't know what time he needs to get up for a 5:30 kick-off, but hopefully the team are rested. I guess it's one of these things we'll chat about for, well, probably after this video we'll all kind of move on and not speak about it again. The game's going to be at 5:30, and as long as Celtic are going up to lift that trophy at about 7:30, 7:45, then we won't care what time of day it is. The club did launch their season tickets yesterday. We are all in is the tagline. Not sure that's quite as good as last year. We never stop, I think it was last year, Asim. So you're never going to beat that. Just the key price details for people watching this. Adults are from £559. Over 65s from £363. Under 13s are from £110 or £50 if they don't include matches against Rangers. We've got some other prices on screen there for you. I believe it's about a 3% increase on last season, Asim. It doesn't seem to be too many complaints from supporters online. Could we have frozen prices though, given the money coming into the club at the moment, Adidas merch, Champions League, etc.? Or again, am I just moaning for the sake of moaning?
It's not the worst increase, but yeah, given the general financial situation, a lot of people are struggling just now. Like you said, we've got guaranteed income from Champions League. It's not like previous seasons where there's qualifiers to navigate, so we know we're getting that money coming in. The club are in a good financial situation, and obviously, like you said, the merchandise, the kit prices all increasing, so it all adds up. It is difficult, in terms of the financial side of things of supporting Celtic, but. I guess we'll see when the new season comes along in terms of like Champions League pricing, how we'll go in with that. But again, in isolation, the increase of about 3%, it's not too bad. So I've not seen too many complaints, and I guess that's a good thing.
I think that that's just the norm anyway these days, isn't it? With the prices, everything's going up. So,
Yeah.
3% isn't too bad if you look at it in that perspective, especially when the team's doing so well, on the treble and doing well this season, like previous seasons as well. So, yeah, I think that's just the reality of life at the moment.
Yeah, they're going to sell out anyway, aren't they? So that's the club will kind of say, well,
I
we
think I've
can
seen
get
there's
away
about
with it.
16,000 on the wait list at the moment, and that's unheard of for a long time. So just shows you
Yeah,
the demand and how well we are doing, as Joe said.
yeah. It'll be interesting whether that keeps up even when Ange leaves one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
But we
interesting.
thought that after Brendan left, and
I know.
the demand is still there. So
Because they held really strong under Neil Lennon, as much as people like to kind of paint that they didn't. I mean, that season 20, whatever it was, 1920, the one that was cut short by COVID, I think the crowds were brilliant as well, and it was tough to get away tickets that season. The deadline, by the way, is Wednesday the 31st of May at 5 p.m. to renew your season ticket. They may extend that, but don't bank on it. North Curve Celtic unveiled a pretty stunning impression of what the Celtic End could look like at Celtic Park. Now, just before I show this image, guys, I'll just briefly remind you what it is. It's a campaign from the likes of North Curve, Green Brigade, Boys Celtic, Celtic Shared, to turn the Jock Stein stand, so the one that we shoot in primarily in the second half at Celtic Park, into a large standing section. If you want to find out more about it, I did do an interview with Martin from the Celtic Shared, which is linked above. This is the image, guys, that was shared yesterday. Obviously an impression. What do you think, Joe? It'd be pretty class to see a standing bit like that behind the net, and if you were back playing with Celtic, would you fancy shooting into that in the second half?
It'd be lovely, wouldn't it? I don't know why. I just have that feeling when it's standing, it just creates that little bit more of a better atmosphere. I don't know whether, especially when you see the Celtic fans doing the huddle as well. And I don't know. I think I prefer. It doesn't look as good, obviously, when the stadium's empty. But I think it just creates a little bit more better atmosphere. Obviously, you got to just be careful and with little kids around. But for me, I think it creates a better atmosphere with standing.
You obviously you've missed the whole standing thing. I think it came in 2016, so you departed the club, but it's been brilliant at Celtic Park. I mean, it's been a massive success. I think it's 3,000 odd in that corner, and if they're talking about, ideally one day, I think they're going to start with the bottom tier of the Jockstein stand, and then ideally have the entire, stand like Dortmund or like the Kop at Anfield. I mean, that would really benefit the team as well. I mean, even last Sunday, you'll have seen it at Hampden. Like, the Celtic fans behind that net were just backing the team the whole game.
Well, that's it. And you've seen that, sometimes the majority of the game, fans don't want to sit down. They rather stand up anyway. So I don't know whether can they alter their capacity with standing compared to seating? Can you add a
I know
few more?
it's
in Dortmund they
usually
do.
reduced, isn't it?
Well, is it in Dortmund? It's 3-2 in terms of you can get 3 people standing for every 2 seats. But I think the standing section at Celtic Park is just 1-1. I think it's just the same.
Right.
Same
Okay.
crowd.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said previous, I think I've seen games where fans don't really want to sit down; they just rather stand up, and they feel a bit more a part of the game as well when you're standing. You're a little bit more on top. You've got people around you jumping around as well, so. No, it makes sense in a way. Obviously, saving money as well with seats, because you see some of these seats flying around and snapping. So, in the long term, I'm sure it would improve.
Yeah, I mean, we should say, Asim, at this stage that there's a lot of work needs to be done before that image can become a reality. There's people with, I think, valid concerns that have sat in those seats for decades, possibly, emotional attachments to certain seats that they don't want to give up, and that's as I say, a totally valid opinion to have, or a feeling to have. But I think what the North Curve and Green Brigade, etc., want is people to have an open mind. At the moment, and when you look at images like that, I just think it's in everyone's best interest that it will improve the team's chances as well. I think if they're shooting into that net in the second half.
Yeah, am I right in saying there's maybe a trial of it in one of the matches next week?
I was going to bring that up. So it's Thursday, the women's team are playing Glasgow City at Celtic Park, and I think we've sold out 2 or 3 sections behind the net, so they're effectively using it as a bit of a trial.
I think, like Joe said, just from an atmosphere point of view, you've seen how much the Green Brigade have added over since it's been introduced in that corner, and even just as a spectacle, it looks great. And if you've got the whole stand behind the goals, with everyone standing and that kind of, like you see with the Dortmund wall, it just looks brilliant from an optics point of view. The atmosphere, it's brilliant to see, and I just think we're talking about obviously prices going up in terms of to go and watch football, but this all adds to the match day experience. And you're right, I think there has to be open dialogue with those who are not, maybe opposed to it because of, as you said, they've sat there for years. But I think that kind of communication with all parties involved to see what we can do to enhance the overall match day experience and for the bigger picture of what will make Celtic Park an even greater place to play football and to go and watch as well. So for me, that looks brilliant. I seen that image and straight away I thought, yeah, I'm on board with that. So yeah, if there's something that can be done, then I'd be all for it.
Yeah, it's one that's going to roll on and roll on for years. I think hopefully it does, come to pass at some stage. Just briefly, women's team did lose 1-0 to Rangers last night, damaging result in the title race. Previous night, Scottish Youth Cup final. Joe, did you see this? We beat Rangers 6-5 at Hampden after extra time to win the trophy for the first time since 2017. I watched a bit of it. Quality wasn't incredible, but in terms of entertainment, I mean, have you ever played in a 6-5?
No, not like what I can think of. No, but like you said, that's what you want to watch, really, entertaining football. And it's always difficult in those sort of circumstances when you're in. You just want to get the result, and sometimes you think it ain't going your way, but that means you can't give up. You always got to keep trying, and it's important to get that win, and obviously, like you said, for a long time as well. It's great to see.
Yeah, another win over Rangers. Right, we'll move on then. As we say, Sunday we're playing Hearts, a chance to win the league. Here's a reminder of what the league table looks like. We're on 92 points. Rangers can only make it to 94 if they win their last 5 games. So 3 more points seals the deal. Right, you want a wee quiz question, guys? We've clinched the league title at 6 different grounds this century. So where have we clinched it most often? And it's not a trick question.
Kilmarnock.
There might be another ground in Glasgow where we actually play most of our games where that's the top. Celtic Park, guys. My word, I didn't expect it to be. That's the easy one as well. 6 times we've won it at Celtic Parks. St Mirren in 2001, Livingston in 2002, Hearts in 2006, Inverness in 2013, Joe, remember, Aberdeen in 2016, and Rangers, of course, 5-0 game in 2018. Right, next up, we are on to away grounds now. We've won it 3 times at one ground. And again, it might be one that's close to Joe.
I know we've done Tannadice at least twice.
Tannadice is twice, but where did you win it, Joe, your first title?
Okay.
Kilmarnock.
You scored
that's
that
right,
day.
That's right. I thought the first one, I thought you meant away. So
I was the same in my defence. I was thinking of the away ones, which is why I didn't even think of Celtic Park. Was that the 6-0 game? That was a great game.
It was. So we won it 04. We won it at Rugby Park. We won it 07, Nakamura and all that, and we won it in 2012 with Joe Ledley and all that. Partick Thistles, Firhill was where we sealed it in 2014. Pittodrie in 2019. Tynecastle in 2017 as well, so it could be 2 at Tynecastle come Sunday. That's the full list on screen there. Joe, you actually scored in 2 of the title wins, Killie away and Inverness at home. I believe I was reading the Inverness report and you captained the team that day as well. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did actually. I, for some reason, it popped up on social media and I remember watching it. I totally forgot I was captain at the time, but Lenny gave me quite a lot of responsibility in my time at Celtic, and sort of I think Brownie was injured here and there or suspended. So I think to be fair to Lenny, he swapped it around. Wanyama had it a few times, Fraser Foster. A few of us had the opportunity to captain it, but it's great to be the skipper. When you're on to win the trophy, that's for sure. Didn't let me hold the cup though.
I know. Well, that's a different day, isn't it? If it had been that day, you've been lucky.
Yeah.
We could chat about that game, but to be honest, it's
Yeah.
the Kelly away one that I want to speak about. I just want to say, I think your goal that day is a very underrated goal. I mean, I think all 6 of the goals that day were brilliant. That was the one. I want to say,
Little dink.
was it no? But who played it through at you? Was it Atajic or whatever his name was?
Yeah, Philip. We used to just call him Philip. Can't remember his...
Or was it Twardzik?
Yeah, towards it.
Twardzik.
That's it.
Twardzik.
Yeah.
Because it was a
Yeah,
wee
little
flick,
flick.
and then you just ran
Yeah,
through and
that's
dinked
it.
it.
Little dink over the keeper. That was a good move. I think it was Stokes he played it in, and Philip round the corner, and then a little dink. But I remember that game. The atmosphere was unbelievable. I think we had the free stands as well.
Yep.
It just took over the whole ground, and it was rocking from start to finish.
Yeah, I was in the third stand, the kind of third stand that Kelly gave us on top of the usual two. And I mean, like, we've had some amazing games, Asim, like obviously all the European ones, beating Rangers, but that game would be right up there for me. Like, winning the league for the first time in 3 years and doing it in such style. Kelly had just beaten us a week before as well in the League Cup final, I think, or a couple of weeks before.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the atmosphere, like Joe's saying. We had the 3 stands, and I think we did that where one stand would shout Celtic, and then it was just going back and forth like that. It was a great. Sadly, I wasn't there. I was at the 2007 one when Nakamura scored in the last minute when we clinched it. So I've been at a couple of the away day clinchers, but I missed the 6-0. But yeah, it was brilliant. We were, like you said, I think it was the first title in 3 or 4 seasons, so it just felt really special. And we just put on a right show. Every single goal, I think, that day was brilliant. Did Hooper score a few as well, or I'm sure he scored a belter in that game.
Mulgrew scored a couple.
Yeah.
So no, it was a really good one. I take it that's probably your favourite out of the two, Joe, or the other one obviously you captained. So it's
No, that for me, I'll never forget the atmosphere. I was surprised. Well, I shouldn't have been surprised, but when we went out of the tunnel and you could see the free stands, they all had the champagne inflatables flying around, and like you said, Asim, Celtic, come on, and then they literally one end to another just shouting at each other, and it was just incredible. You could feel the buzz, and not just that, as a player as well, and the performance was just fantastic.
Did you know going out that day you were going to win?
Yeah. You. I think because of disappointment the previous season, losing, by 1 point, where I thought that was probably the best we've ever played. I remember Emilio Izaguirre on his debut, his first season. He was unbelievable. Some of the football we played, and to lose by 1 point was devastating. And we knew we just had to get over the line and perform as best as we could.
Yeah, it was some day out. Asim, have you got a favourite recent clincher?
So I was at Tannadice when we won for Gordon Strachan's theatre. Obviously, it's a wee bit further back, but that was pretty special because obviously with Tommy Burns passing that week as well, and just the way we kind of fought back to win that title was pretty special. In recent times, they've all been the ones we've won have been quite comfortable in terms of like it's been way before the end of the season. I remember the one at Tynecastle actually. Was it 5-0? The Sinclair scored, Paddy Roberts. I think that was a pretty emphatic one as well there. And then obviously the 5-0 at home to Rangers as well. So we've had a fair few where we've won it in style, and I'm kind of hoping and thinking we might do the same on Sunday. We're due a really big performance. We've had a couple of performances where we've won, or obviously the Motherwell game we drew, but I think we could be on for another kind of special one on Sunday.
I mean, is that the mindset, Joe, going into the game as a player, that you want to absolutely do it in style?
Yeah, you do. You want to strafe on that whistle. You just want to go out there, dominate possession, try and get an early goal as soon as possible, just to relax the nerves. Don't get me wrong, we can't see Celtic not winning this title. It's eventually going to happen, but you want it done and dusted as soon as possible. I think they're trying for straight Celtic, obviously trying to disappoint their day, but once that first goal goes in, it sort of relaxed nerves, and then the flow starts coming. And like you said, obviously the last few games has been disappointing performances. I thought Sunday wasn't the greatest, at times, especially second half, but I just can't see Celtic not winning that game on Sunday.
I must say, I just get that feeling as well, that I think I just think we're going to go and blow Hearts away. I just think that this team's going to be so motivated. That's the one thing about last year when we clinched it. It was amazing. It was one of the best days of my life to win the league by drawing against Dundee United, but we didn't do it in style really. It wasn't a great performance, and I'd love to see us with the pressure. The pressure we were under at that stage was still massive, and this season with the pressure off a bit, we're through at the cup final now. I'd love to see us just pressure off and just completely go for it and take them apart, and I'm hoping that's what happens. We are going to be without Carter Vickers and Alistair Johnson. I've not actually heard from Ange yet, so can't say much else in injuries, but those two I think it's fair to say are certainly going to miss the game. Team, Asim, do you want to kind of run us through what you think the team will be then?
Yeah, I think we'll see pretty much close to full strength, obviously just minus those two. I think Joe Hart, we'll see Ralston. I thought Ralston did well when he came on, because Johnston's just so good right now, and to come on and replace him, obviously it's a big ask. And I thought Ralston, did his task really well in what was a difficult second half defensively, and I thought all of our back four were brilliant. But then I think we'll see Kobayashi, who's already featured at Tynecastle and did well with Starfelt, and that will allow Starfelt to move in one. And then we'll see Taylor. Midfield wise, I think Hatate will get another chance to kind of work on his fitness, because I think he just looked a wee bit lacking in sharpness last week. So I think he'll start with McGregor, and I think we might see Moy. Moy did well again when he came in. We've got a few options there though, don't we? We've got Iwata and O'Reilly both vying for that spot. So, but I've got a feeling Moy might get a start. I thought he was good at Tynecastle last time as well. And then I think we'll see the usual front three of Maeda, Kyogo and Jota.
That sound about right, Joe?
Yeah, I think so. I think we looked a bit leggy in centre midfield. I thought O'Reilly and Hatate looked a little bit tired, especially when the game sort of went on. I asked him, so I think Moy will probably come in there. I think with McGregor as well, but I think Carter Vickers and Johnson are a big blow, because I thought they were magnificent against Rangers. Obviously, apart from the injury, I thought Carter Vickers was probably my man of the match. I know he got it, but he was outstanding.
Yeah, he's going to be a big miss, but I think it's a big opportunity as well for Kobayashi, who I think has played 4 matches so far since signing in January. As you say, Asim, one of them was at Tynecastle. He's going to have Ibrox next week. He's going to have a cup final at the start of June. So these are big games for him, but I think he's ready. I really do. I've liked him so far, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how much Carter Vickers holds that defence together, if that is the case, or if that's just not the case, and kind of how important Starfelt is for us now, because he suddenly becomes the kind of experienced head in that partnership, and it is going to be a test. I think next Sunday at Ibrox is obviously going to be even more of a test, but Hearts away, they scored 6 at home last time, so it could be difficult there as well. Memories of playing at Tynecastle, Joe. Players seem to say that they loved playing there, because the quote is always, the fans are right on top of you.
Yeah, but I played there for Wales under 14 in the Victory Shield, and I loved it. It's so I've always been that sort of player that sort of loves the ground really close to you, like that hostile sort of feel. There's mixed emotions. We dominated Hart a few times, managed to score a few times at Tynecastle, but also got sent off one time, which was never a sending off. Actually, spoke to the referee at the end of the season when we always have our annual meetings, and he apologised in the end. But no, I've always enjoyed playing against Hart. We've always done well. Yeah,
I enjoy going there. The atmosphere is even good, watching it, and it's always quite hostile. So hopefully we thrive on it. Is this the weekend, Asim? Are we going to be champions on Sunday? And how good is that going to feel if that is the case? And what time are you heading to Celtic Park for? That's the third question.
No, I like you. I think I do agree that we will put on a show, and I think we will clinch it. I think Ange will be big on that as well. You'll obviously remember last year, like we said, we won at Tannadice, but we didn't quite do it in style in terms of the big win. So I think he'll be putting a bit of emphasis on that, and we'll just want to get the job done, because obviously the following week we've got Ibrox as well, so you don't want it to kind of linger going into that, needing the win as well. Or I don't know, I think a draw at that point might be fine as well. So I think we want to get it done, and I think we want to put on a performance. We've not been at our best in the last few weeks, so I think that will be big, and it will be interesting to see how we cope without Carter Vickers. I just think he's that good and that important, but I want to see a performance generally from the defence that shows that we're not overly reliant on him. As good as he is, you want to see that players can come in and contribute and still look as solid. So a good couple of games coming up. But yeah, I've got a feeling we'll do it. I think we'll win. I think it'll be a good game. Hearts will obviously be buoyant after their last victory against County. So I'm excited. And yeah, I don't know what the plans are in terms of if there's been anything official, but I think everyone will probably be heading to Celtic Park after, should we do it. Much like last year, again, it was an amazing night when we beat Dundee United, because everyone went back to Celtic Park. No one had a clue if the team were actually heading back as well. So we were just there for hours waiting, and then eventually they did turn up, and it was just it was a brilliant night followed by a brilliant weekend as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think if they do it on a Wednesday night, a Sunday afternoon should be doable as well for a party. What do you think, Joe? Is it going to be the weekend it gets sealed?
Yeah, it's got to be. Like we just saying, you wanted to put it to bed as soon as possible. You want to have that trophy as soon as possible, and like we've been talking about, I think we've seen it this season. The people who do get replaced, whether suspension or injury, has always stepped up, and I think that squad is good enough for anyone to come in and put in a performance and get the result. Hearts are a good team on their day, but I think just got too much power and pace for the front three to sort of dominate the game, and I think Hearts will struggle as well. So for me, it's a Celtic win.
Same for me, guys. It's a treble. So yeah, hopefully that's going to be the case, and it's going to be a brilliant afternoon to support the team again. And yeah, I just can't wait. I feel like it's crept up on us that we can win the league this week, and it'd just be amazing if we could do 2 in a row, seeing all those players celebrating again. Right, we will have a reaction for you post-match, regardless of whether it gets sealed or not on Sunday. We'll be there. I think Stevie's going to join me for that. Joe, this is probably the last time we'll speak to you, certainly this season as well. So thanks very much for turning up every few weeks and giving your thoughts, and have a great summer.
No, I appreciate it. Sorry about my predictions. They've been horrendous.
You're getting better. You're getting better. Maybe if we had you on till like 2040, you'd be getting there by then. But, yeah, it's not been the greatest part, but it's been great to have you on. Thanks everyone for tuning into this video again. And as I say, we'll chat to you on Sunday after the game.